Greetings. Welcome to the Money Script Podcast. I'm your host, Johanse Harrison, financial advisor and financial literacy educator. In each episode, you'll hear incredible interviews and get tips and strategies that you can implement into your daily life to help you improve your money script and grow your wealth. Thank you for taking some time with me today. Let's get into this episode of the Money Script. Welcome back to the Money Script Podcast. So grateful to be with each and every one of you today. Thank you to everyone for being a dedicated listener. Thanks for sharing with friends. Thanks for tagging us on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. We really appreciate that. You're getting the word out. This is financial information that a lot of people don't always have access to. We try to bring you, we bring you some great guests with some great stories and some great strategies and tips to help you build a better money script. That's what this is about, helping you build a better money script. So with that, today, we've got jam-packed agenda today, and we're going to be talking about the stimulus checks that a lot of you received last week or will be receiving in the coming weeks. We're going to talk about unemployment checks, or unemployment, the programs in each state. We're not going to go through each state, but unemployment, we're going to talk about it. We're also going to talk about the changes that happened to federal student loans. And finally, we're going to talk about retirement plans and some of the changes that happened in retirement plans. So these are all things that were developed in the CARES Act that was signed into law on March 27th of 2020. And it had several provisions for small businesses and individuals. We're going to focus on the individuals today, and then I'll catch you guys on a later episode with the stimulus money for small businesses. So with that, let's get into stimulus checks. So starting last week, Americans that have a Social Security number, or adults rather, that have a Social Security number, started to receive the first wave of stimulus checks from the IRS. They didn't come from the IRS, but the Treasury Department directed the IRS to send the checks out to everyone. So it is not this is not something you have to pay back. This is a gift from the government based on the COVID-19 pandemic and how the government's trying to step in and just help keep the consumers, the taxpayers, which are the government's number one source of revenue, trying to help keep us afloat, try to keep us from going into a deep recession, sometimes known as depression, and trying to just, like I said, help us stay afloat. That's really what it is. So if you made under $75,000 in 2018 or 2019, you would receive the full amount as an individual taxpayer of $1,200. And that amount slowly scales down as you get to $99,000. So if you're a single individual, no kids, and you earned over $99,000, you will not receive a stimulus check. For married couples, the amount is $2,400 that you will receive if your income is under $150,000. And then that also gradually scales down to zero as you get to $198,000 of joint income. For each qualifying child under the age of 16, you'll get an additional $500. And if you file head of household, there is a sliding scale for you as well. I didn't put that in my notes, but if you want some help to figure out those numbers, I encourage you to go to the same place I went, which is the irs.gov website. And you can put in your Social Security number, and it will tell you how much you're expected to receive, or if it's already been sent to you, or it will tell you that they haven't calculated a number yet for you, which could mean you don't qualify. There's that. So, but I encourage you, go to the website, and if you haven't received it already, go to the website, find out if you're going to receive it. Also on that website, you can give the IRS your direct deposit information so they can put that money directly into your bank account. And if you don't have a bank account, or maybe you for some reason feel uncomfortable with giving the IRS your bank account, I'm sure they have it already. You can, let's see, what is it? Cash App. So Cash App actually has a way that you can give a bank account number to the IRS as well for direct deposit. So shout out to Cash App and figuring that out. That was pretty cool. I saw that. I happened to go on my Cash App and I saw that. I was like, oh, that's cool. So just helping people have more access to their money. So that's a good thing. We're all about that. If you go to the description for this episode, you will find some links that I've shared where you can get some helpful FAQs, frequently asked questions answered, FAQA. So if you go to the description, you can get those links and check that out. So again, I encourage you to find out where you are. So for those of you that have received the money, or maybe you haven't received it yet, you may be thinking, okay, what should I do with this money? Of course, if you have, a mortgage or rent, or you need to keep the lights on, food on the table, absolutely, that's what the money is for. And if you're in a situation where maybe you're still working and you don't need to use those funds, you still want to be responsible with that money. So I'd like to share with everyone a strategy that I've used for years. It's called the rule of thirds. We use the rule of thirds anytime we receive money that's unexpected, like a stimulus check from the government, maybe a gift from a friend or loved one. You get this lump sum of money that wasn't planned. Okay, what do I do with it? The first thing you want to do is save. So for the first 1/3 or the first third of this money, save it. Put it into a savings account, save it for a rainy day, put it towards retirement, any sort of savings. You can debate short or long-term savings, but just you want to save 1/3 of it. Then we take a third of that money and we make a payment on any liabilities or debt that we owe. So whether that be making an extra payment on the mortgage or putting it towards paying off a car sooner, or any credit card debt or student loan debt, which we're going to talk about that today as well. So that's a good idea for the second chunk of that money. So again, 1/3 goes to savings, 1/3 goes to debt, and then the final third, do whatever you want. Maybe you decide to give it to charity. Maybe you decide to give some to charity and spend some on yourself. But the point is, do whatever you want. And I've found that by using this rule of thirds in the future, when we look back on what we did with that money, we seem to always check off all the boxes of the things that we want to do. So we want to save. Most people want to save. You want to have money for the future. We want to pay our debt off faster so that we pay less interest over time. And we want to have fun. Or we want to give, or whatever that other last item will be. So I encourage you, take the rule of thirds, maybe apply it to this money, apply it to other money that you may receive, because we're going to talk about another kind of gift that came into this CARES Act as it relates to student loans. But before we go to student loans, let's talk about unemployment. Unfortunately, in the last few weeks, there have been a record number of Americans filing for unemployment. Just over 22 million people recently became unemployed, which is crazy. I mean, there's really no other way to describe it. It's a lot of people losing their jobs at once. Of course, hardest hit were our travel related and hotels and restaurants. And there's also been a lot of struggles with people getting their unemployment filed because quite frankly, the systems weren't built to handle 22 million people at once. Not that they're all in the same state, but you know what I mean. So you're going to have to be patient, continue to try to get through, whether it's online or over the phone, and just keep trying. Eventually they will get to everyone. Now, for everyone that qualifies for at least $1 of state unemployment in the state you live in, you'll also receive federal unemployment of $600 a week in additional income to your household for unemployment. And that's for 26 weeks, which is also unprecedented. And again, this is just the government's way of trying to help keep people afloat at this very, very sad and crazy time. Now, there is good news that the country is going to create plans and a path to open back up. And each state is creating their own plans. Some states are joining together. So hopefully that means some of us will get to go back to work. But we know that, as I mentioned earlier, some of those harder hit industries, it's going to take a lot of time to get back to full employment. And there's also, I think there's going to be another wave of unemployment that happens. We just had Neiman Marcus is supposedly trying to file for bankruptcy very soon, or file for bankruptcy protection rather. So I'm confident there'll be some job losses there as we continue to adapt to the post-shutdown world and post-shutdown economy and living with coronavirus, because they're opening up the country and different states are starting to open up doesn't mean that the virus is gone. So we still got many, many months before there's a vaccine. So if you have lost your job, or you think that you may, because, like maybe the work's not there, or if you've been furloughed, or even if you're a gig worker. By the way, gig workers are included in the in unemployment for the first time in history. So again, if you're in that boat, then please just tune in to your state's unemployment website. Go to the federal unemployment website. And again, I've put these links in the description for you so you can easily access them and get the information that you need straight from the source. So let's move on from unemployment and let's talk about student loans. There were two major changes for individuals that have student loans that were issued by the federal government. So these are people that have direct loans, that have FFEL loans or FFEL program loans, and have Perkins loans. You may have noticed that if your payment was due last week, it possibly did not come out of your bank account. And that is because for all federal student loans, as a part of the CARES Act, all federal student loans, the interest rate has been changed to zero or reduced to zero. And there are no payments from March 13th, 2020 until September 30th of 2020. So that's essentially 6 months of no payments, no interest on student loans. For those that are in a public student loan forgiveness program, if you do not make payments, because you can still choose to make payments, but even if you don't make the payments, because the government turned off the payment machine or the machine that takes the money automatically out of your bank account. Now, if you send the money automatically yourself, you've got to turn that off. But I would encourage you to log into your student loan servicing website to make sure that your loans do qualify. But as I was saying, for the next 6 months, there are no payments to be made and no interest against you. And for public student loan forgiveness individuals, even though you're not making payments, these next 6 months will still count towards the total amount of months that you need to reach your student loan forgiveness obligation. So I know I said a mouthful there. You may want to rewind that back and listen to it again because it's a really good benefit for those that have been struggling with student loans, especially if you're out of work right now or your hours have been reduced or you've been furloughed and you have those federal student loans. So I would definitely, again, go to your student loan servicer, find out which of your loans qualify, and then figure out what you're going to do with that extra money. So going back to our earlier conversation about the rule of thirds, maybe you take a third of that and you save. Maybe you take a third of it, you pay on a different debt that has that still has interest that's being accumulated or charged to you. And maybe you take a little bit of that money and you do something fun. Mother's Day is just around the corner. Finally, let's talk about retirement plans. So 401ks, 403bs, 457s, these are plans that you have offered through your employers. Before the CARES Act, you could borrow money from your 401k or 403b, and you could borrow up to $50,000 or 50%, whichever was smaller. And that's a rule that has to be adopted by your retirement plan. So there are some folks that have retirement plans that do not have that option, but most of the larger 401ks will have the option to borrow. So now in the CARES Act, you can borrow up to $100,000 or 100% of the plan, whichever is less. So that's a significantly more money that you can borrow out of your 401k plan. Now you have to borrow it within the next 180 days from the date of the CARES Act, which was March 27th, is when you have to start that loan, and you get 1 year extra to pay it back. So prior to the CARES Act, if you borrowed money out of your 401k, 403b, or other qualified employer-sponsored plan, you'd have 5 years to pay that back. So now you have longer to pay that back. You can delay payments for up to 1 year, and then the 5-year repayment period would start. For more information on that, reach out to your 401k provider or reach out to your HR and they can give you more information. Now, in order to qualify for the special rules for borrowing from your retirement plan, you have to have been affected by the coronavirus, meaning you had to have caught it yourself or your spouse or dependent was diagnosed with COVID-19 or you were negatively affected financially. Let me just read the text to you. So it's section 2103 under use of retirement funds, part 4, item number 3, to an individual who experiences adverse financial consequences as a result of being quarantined, being furloughed or laid off, or having work hours reduced due to such virus or disease, being unable to work due to the lack of childcare due to such virus or disease, closing or reducing hours of a business owned or operated by the individual due to such virus or disease, or other factors as determined by the Secretary of the Treasury or the Secretary's delegate. So if you were negatively affected by the coronavirus in a financial manner, based on what I was sharing with you there, you may be able to take money or borrow money out of your 401k and have a little extra time to pay it back. So that's good. That's a way to access funds. Now, of course, you don't want to access your 401k. It's a last resort. But again, if we're talking about paying your mortgage or paying your rent or keeping the lights on, then maybe it's an option that you have to explore. So talk to your plan sponsor and you can learn more about what your plan offers in the area of loans. There were changes in the CARE Act that affect IRAs and how you put money in an IRA and how you take it out. So for those that have traditional or Roth IRAs, typically you had to put money into those plans by April 15th to count for the previous year. So with the tax extension to July 15th, you also have until July 15th to make the contribution to your IRA or Roth IRA. So if you haven't done that, there's still time. So that's good news. Similar to the 401k rules, if you were negatively affected by COVID-19 financially or health-wise, you can take money out of your IRAs without penalties, and you can even pay it back. So let's dig in some of the details that were provided for IRAs. If you had a financial hardship and withdrew money from a qualified IRA, so a rollover or a traditional IRA, prior to the CARES Act, there was a 10% penalty if you were younger than 59 and a half. Well, that 10% penalty has been waived. So again, it's 180 days from the 27th of March. If you need to take a withdrawal from your IRA, the 10% penalty is waived. Additionally, the income you would normally report it as income on your taxes for that year, and the taxes would be due at that time. So you can now spread that income over 3 years. So you can pay the taxes slowly over time, over that 3-year period, or you can pay the money back over 3 years, which is a huge benefit for people that have been negatively affected or infected rather by the coronavirus, or that had a financial setback, as I talked about earlier. So hats off to the lawmakers, congressmen and women, senators that got that done. Because again, this is a great benefit for people that are experiencing some of those short-term setbacks. So again, it's something you definitely want to talk to an expert about. So reach out to my firm, reach out to your financial planner, reach out to your CPA and see what options you have with your retirement plans. Whether you're employed, unemployed, if you've had a negative impact from the coronavirus, then you will be able to access your retirement funds early. And finally, let's discuss RMDs, required minimum distributions. If you are over the age of 72 and you have money in a qualified plan, your Uncle Sam wants to get some tax revenues. So the IRS requires that you distribute a small amount of that plan each year. So there's what's called an RMD table, required minimum distribution table. You plug in the balance that you had on the previous year, and then it calculates how much you are required to take out. And if you don't take out the amount you are supposed to, there is a hefty penalty. So you want to make sure that you follow the RMD rules. Well, in 2020, the RMDs are suspended, so you are not required to do a distribution in 2020 if you're over the age of 72 and have a qualified plan. As the CARES Act is currently written, mind you, there's nothing that stops them from doing amendments in the future, but as it is currently written, in 2021, the RMDs will be required once again. So you definitely want to reach out to your financial professional and your tax professional as well to make sure that you are following those rules and taking advantage of any opportunities that you have to, like I said, keep the lights on, keep a roof over your head, and get through this, because we're all in this together. I'm sure you've heard that many, many times, and I'm saying it too. We are all in this together. Now, there is some other good news about testing. Testing has been going. The numbers of people being tested has been going up all over the country, and a lot of the curves are flattening. So that is good news. So we will see. Every day is a new day, new opportunity every day for things to continue to improve. Hopefully, that's what they will keep doing. So to learn more about any of the stimulus programs or the CARES Act programs that I discussed in today's episode, please check the descriptions. I've listed all of my sources there. And of course, please talk to your professionals, talk to your financial planner, talk to your CPA, talk to your spouse or loved one, have some financial conversations. Don't wait until someone loses a job, or don't wait until you're calling your 401k company to reach out and at least have a conversation with someone, with a professional to help you make the right decision right now. So with that, I want to leave you with a little treat. I'm going to let someone else express how I truly feel, what we should be doing as we still wait for a vaccine and wait for a good therapeutic and wait for testing to go much higher than it is right now. I just want to warn you, kids, language. Yes, there is going to be some foul language in this last part. So if you're sensitive to that, you might want to go ahead and end it now. But if you're okay with it, then stay tuned.
Stay the fuck at home. The Rona is spreading. This shit is no joke. It's no time to work or roam. The way you can fight it is simple, my friends. Just stay the fuck at home. Now, technically, I'm not a doctor, but motherfuckers listen when I read a poem. So here I am, Sam fucking Jackson, imploring you, keep your ass at home. If you want things to get back to normal, don't panic. Just use your dome. Wash your hands, stop touching your face, and stay the fuck at home. Motherfucker, it's no time to gamble. Look around, you're not at a casino. Just stay the fuck home as if your name was Trenton Quarantino. Sure, you can still see your friends. Use the motherfucking app on your phone. But unless you just ran out of groceries, please stay the fuck at home. Thank you for doing your part to flatten the curve, because that shit is steep. And now that you're home, please feel free to go the fuck to sleep. The end.
Thanks for joining us on the Money Script podcast. Be sure to check out our other episodes, subscribe, follow, and give us 5 stars. Continue to send your financial questions on Twitter or Instagram at The Money Script. Go to moneyscriptwealth.com and schedule your complimentary consultation to discuss your specific goals and concerns. Financial advisory and investment management services are offered by Money Script Wealth Management PLLC, a registered investment advisory firm registered in the state of Texas and California and other states where exempt. The Money Script LLC and the Money Script Wealth Management PLLC and guests of the episode may have interest in the investments mentioned today. The opinions and views are expressed here are for informational purposes only. This material is educational in nature and should not be deemed as a solicitation for any specific product or service. All investments involve risk and a significant loss of principal. The Money Script nor Money Script Wealth Management offer tax or legal advice. Please consult your tax advisor or attorney for specific advice about your situation. Until next time.